Okay, guys, today um, I'm coming to you, I guess, let's just say from the heart. We'll just keep it all the way raw and, exclusively, about the journey that it will take from, point A to point Z. If the debt collections world is your career path. Okay, just a little about me. Prior to all of the training and the founding Collection Code and all of that stuff. I was a musician. I made music. I was a hip hop artist. I even made it as far as getting my own group and going on tour and ultimately performing on stages and making hip hop videos. And music was what ultimately drove me to move from state to state. So um, here's the true part that a lot of people never realize, and they find themselves in a tough road. When they realize that, sometimes that music cannot bring you consistent income. Okay, so you can't go from green light to yellow light to red light. Okay, you may be able to live on yellow light for a while, but even that is pretty much going to turn red if you stay on it for too long. So what happens is, my wife told me that I need to get a job. Okay, we moved here, for your music career, and I understand that and I support that, but life is really still happening. Okay, and that was something that as a man I had to understand. So I ended up, on Craigslist at that time. And lo and behold, there were multiple listings for collection agent, person to work at a collection agency and talk on the phones. Um, I gave it a try, and was interviewed. And one thing that stood out to me at the interview, it definitely wasn't the $12 an hour that I was ultimately offered. It was more so what the interviewer explained to me regarding the bonus structure. Okay, the possibility to earn way more than your actual hourly check. Okay, being able to speak with people, negotiate their balance, and get them to pay you over the phone. The reason why I went into, the job with confidence was because there's not a lot of jobs in America that will hire you on the same day, after interviewing you, whether they hear your voice or see something in you that they feel as though that they will benefit from. They hired me on the same day. And I came back and kept coming back because of this bonus check that I continued to hear about. I even seen a few of the, senior employees, have a different type of vibe than, let's say maybe, an employee who just started. So it was certainly, seen across the board who was who and what was going on. So me, especially with my background, I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be the main part of that the entire way through. Okay, we're speaking roughly 14 years ago here, guys. Okay, so from that time, I've always wanted to be the GOAT. Okay, and all throughout my career, what I realized is that I had to continue to chase the bonus money no matter what position I was placed in. Okay, so again, a lot of you may know that, the first company, after staying there, for a little over a year, they would not meet my needs. Okay. I know what my worth had become. Although I had ultimately started a new career from scratch, I became the great. Okay. I was one of the greats, and I knew it, but my paycheck was not, my paycheck was not showing it. So, eventually I had to move on, to another company who also appointed me as a, manager, floor manager, which I've also became, operations manager, partner. And eventually, through the years, I eventually became an owner of my own collection agency. And what that took was for me to continue to chase the bonus money, okay? And that came from resolving people's issues, resolving the debtor's problem, okay? Here you are, you have this company threatening to place this matter against you. We want to resolve that for you. And I always took that approach rather than being a bully, rather than being inappropriate, rather than getting complaints. At every single company I've worked at in the last 14 years, which was seven of them, I became the operation manager. Okay. When I stopped being the manager and became owner, I was owner for 3 years. I stopped being an owner and started being a consultant and a trainer who traveled the world to help agencies start their company. Okay. I became literally the collection goat. All right. That's a name that the employees gave me, and I actually adopted that name. I went and got it trademarked, okay, patented. That's my name. And I want to introduce to the world, okay, something that's way bigger than being an owner of a collection agency or being a manager or being a trainer. I want to introduce to you Collection Goat. Okay, that's my brain, my training, my experience inside of a software that I built specifically using AI. No budget, no co-founders, no investors, nobody but me and my AI. Okay, and I present to you the greatest collection software to ever, okay, present itself to this industry. Okay, it's built on compliance, it's built on intelligence, and it's built on perfection. Even looking at it, you will ultimately become addicted to work. All right, and that's what it's for. It's for collectors and it's built by the best collector. All right. So here you are, guys. This is your platform. Collection Goat belongs to you.